Nice.
swimming pools, and they're so nice. So I'm happy to guest coach and do things
Awesome.
with them.
Hey, Ashton.
Hey, what's going on?
I got one sick kid at home, so that threw me
Oh,
for a little bit of a loop. I have three at home today, and Mike's on a meeting. One is napping, two are watching a movie. So fingers crossed.
you got this.
No interruptions while you're on here. But if all of a sudden I'm muted or gone, there was just a tiny crisis.
That's okay. That happens.
Yes, unfortunately. Are you ready to you leave Thursday?
Yeah,
Toodaloo.
I know. I'm so excited. Yeah, Sarah and I are gonna go climbing on Friday morning, so I already have plans to do all the things.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Tasha, who's with on my staff, we're going together. We're going to carpool. We were going to meet Sarah for some a pre-conference rendezvous at
Oh,
Colorado
nice.
Brewery. So I'll text you the address.
Yay! So fun. Okay, yeah, sounds good.
And Hannah's on here. Hannah, good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you?
Good. How's Texas?
Warm.
Yeah.
Un For November, it's disgusting for November. It is 80 today, and
Oh,
I can't stand it.
We've had some I mean, if it makes you feel better, we've had a couple days ago it was like 75 here. It was wild.
yeah,
Are you guys
same.
still snowless?
No snow.
That's crazy.
No snow. Ashton, what about you?
You might get our storm. Yeah, we just had one come in the last day and a half, and we finally have some snow on the mountains. And it's not like I'm getting
Goodness.
hyped to ski or anything looking at it. It's not that
Sure.
great, but it's something. It's better than
Yeah.
nothing.
Looks closer to winter. All right. Well, hi everybody. Thanks for hopping on. Let me make sure I've got Ariel. Did you make it so that Ashton can screen share? I feel like you have the power to do that.
Oh, that might be helpful. You should be able to do it now.
I'm like, can I
Oh,
do it? Can I just share? Oh, screen. Yeah. You guys, I'm so not a millennial when it comes to my tech. Can you guys see my screen?
we can see like
Okay, great. Let
yeah, we can see it
me,
all. Hi Jenny
wait,
Lou.
I want to let me do it. How do I do it? Hold on. Oh, here we
I
go. There we go.
There we go.
Sheesh. I told you,
Okay.
I'm telling you. It's not
Cool.
great.
Very good. Okay,
Sweet.
we can go ahead and get started. Ashton, you can just leave this up here. This is
Okay,
fine.
great.
Um, thank you everybody for getting on here. I appreciate you guys carving out some time to connect. Couple updates. We have some of you on this call may have submitted to be on some ASCA committees. If you have, you should be hearing from somebody soon to which committee you were selected to. If you have any questions about that, if you are on this call and have questions about ASCA committees, just shoot me an email and let me know. The Women's Initiative Committee has had our first meeting, and we have a great deal of women who have signed up. So I'm going to be, we had about 4 or 5 on our first call, and we'll have several more. Anybody is welcome to join those. Jenny's on here. Nice. Hey, anybody's welcome to join those. We basically just got to know each other on this last one and set some goals, one of which was to dig deeper into what we select to be on these monthly women's initiative calls and using a lot of you guys to get out into the world and help share contacts. I'm on my own little island in Colorado, and I would love any feedback that you guys have about what you would like to see on these calls. Quick update for the next couple months. We're gonna have Haley Foley from what is her team name? gosh, I can't forget her. I'm forgetting her team name. She's recently become a head coach, and she's going to hop on and share with us about her journey from being an assistant to the team entering into a little turmoil. And she came out the head coach and is now kind of carving her own path. We're also going to have Emily Molina from Lake Oswego get on and talk about how to get involved at the USA Swimming level if you're interested in coaching at like national select camps and things like that at the OTC. She has a lot of experience there, and it's not always crystal clear how to get involved in that realm. So that leads me to Ashton. We have Ashton on here today as our special guest. And I was lucky enough to meet Ashton about a year and a half ago via Zoom. We got to meet phone call and via Zoom before we ever met in person. But she is in the Utah LSC, which is a 100% LSC for ASCA, meaning that all the full-time coaches are members. And whenever your LSC becomes 100% members of ASCA, you get some perks along the way. So one of them was that we got to work with Ashton when she was the age group chair and work through getting more kids signed up and what to do with them when they're there. So Ashton has been active in ASCA for quite some time, and I will let her share a little bit more about herself on a deeper level. But I also want to give Ashton a shout out, who was selected for the USA Swimming Women's Leadership Clinic. So she'll be traveling out to Colorado Springs this weekend. And luckily, I am so excited that I will get to be there with her and learn from her. So thank you, Ashton, for being on here on a busy week for you. She's going to share about LSC governance. But first, Ashton, welcome. And can you introduce yourself a little bit for everybody?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll talk about myself just in a second. I guess I'll go over like kind of the agenda for the day, and then I'll go into who I am and my experience and my role. I would like to preface this. Well, thank you for the intro. That was so sweet. But I am like no expert in LSC governance. So if there are any true experts on here, please feel free to fact check me. And because I'm probably going to say some things that are not true or things that I'm unsure of. But I'm going to do my best. And I'm going to try to make this not, I mean, sometimes LSC governance stuff can seem kind of boring. So if not boring, I'm going to try to make it relevant for everybody. So kind of what I want to talk about today is just not me muting myself immediately. My role and kind of the LSC structure in general. And then I want to talk about the Utah LSC, kind of what we've done and what I've learned. And then how can you guys get involved in on your own levels. But I guess before I get into me, I actually want to hear from you guys. Has anybody been a board member or served on a board at the LSC level or the ASCA or the USA Swimming level? Have you been on any committees before? Are you like me when I started and you have absolutely no idea what LSC governance looks like? If you guys are comfortable getting off of mute and sharing, that would be awesome. If that's too much, you're more than welcome to throw some stuff in the chat. I just kind of want to see where everybody is at. And I actually don't even know if I'm on this, if I can see the chat. Can you see the chat, Mac?
Yes, I can see
Okay,
the
sweet.
chat. So anybody who puts things in there, I'll just interrupt you, Ashton, and I'll kind of add to that. I personally have never been involved in our LSC other than helping with like some little camps along the way. I've never had an official role, and I kind of feel a little guilty about that. So I'm not
Don't feel guilty.
if that hits with anybody else.
Don't feel guilty. This is all volunteers work. So really it's like I don't know, it's a lot of time and a lot of energy that you have to give. And so I totally understand if it's like not for you, that's totally fine. But yeah, are you seeing anything in chat?
Yeah, Jenny wrote in the chat that she has not been involved either. Ellen is a fellow board member for ASCA. She has been the general chair of Connecticut Swimming, and she's been on a USA Swimming committee. Ellen's the real deal.
Okay, so she's my fact checker.
Yes, Ellen will be our fact checker. She is incredible when it comes to details.
Rad. Okay.
Mary Beth says she's her LSC treasurer. That seems like a big job, actually.
That's a big job. That's a
Nice.
job I want nothing to do with.
We need more Mary Beths in
yeah.
the world. Age
Yeah.
group committee, Emma Buckhorn, who's recently been at Nitro. She was formerly in Connecticut, but she's been age group committee. Kaylee, she's the district chair for their area at the YMCA, and, and says
Sweet.
definitely was not ready for that. What better
Are
way
we
to
ever
just
ready for
jump in
this?
the fire? Yeah. Way to be
That's
gutsy and
awesome.
just do it, Kaylee.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, cool. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of involvement already, and if not, hopefully I can give you something to take away. And if you're already involved, then hopefully I can give you also something, maybe some ideas of what you can bring to your LSC. So my role, I'm gonna just hide my little screen there. Okay, so I'm a head age group coach. I'm lucky enough to be a full-time coach with a club called Wasatch Front Fish Market, and we're in the greater Salt Lake City area. We have 4 pools, technically 7 if you think about long course time. And yeah, I've been there for 9. April's going to be my 9th year, so almost a decade. I've been coaching in Utah for about 12 years, and I've been coaching in general for about 15. So I've been here for quite some time. And actually, I just like was as I was thinking about my process of how I got involved, I kind of reflected on the fact that I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but it felt like it took me like 2 to 3 years to really get involved and really start to get to know people, even just on the pool decks, like trying to reach out and feel the community that we can feel. And yeah, I don't know if that's like partially like a woman thing. Like I kind of feel like women in general kind of get a little bit of a snub, female coaches, but I also feel I will take some responsibility that I'm like a super introvert. So stuff like this is like very much out of my realm. But I don't know, it took like 2 to 3 years for people to really like recognize me. I recognize people. I'm like, okay, you're a consistent body that I see regularly, and kind of start to build that community. And as I was building that, I was approached in 2022 by our previous chair. His name was Paul, and Paul's grandkids actually swam on my club team with me. So we did have a little bit of rapport, but I had no idea what the board did or what the level of involvement was going to be. Anyway, he cornered me at this summer state meet, and he was like, Ashton, you coach for a team that has the most athletes in the state. We have 350 athletes. We're the biggest club in the state, and in the summertime, we bumped that up to almost 450 with like summer team stuff. And he said that you guys have 0 representation on the board. So I said, okay, what do you need from me? What do you want? Like, I got you. I'll do whatever. And he said, I want you to run for the coach's rep. So this was in July. The voting was in October of that year. And then I would have started in December, but I'm pretty sure I basically just kind of started right away in October. So that was in 2022. I ran for re-election in 2024, and I'm currently serving my 2nd term. And in 2026, I'm not going to be able to run again. We only have 2-year, you can serve 2 2-year terms, and then you can't run for the same position. So I could run for something else. And if something comes up that's kind of in my coaching realm, then I would be happy to run again, honestly. But we'll see when that happens, if that happens. But kind of my role in what I do as a coach's rep is I oversee just literally all things coaches. So we do coaches meetings. We have regular coaches meetings that I plan and implement. We usually do 3 a year. 2 of those at least are at state championships so that we get the most bodies possible. We have coaches that come in that drive like 3 or 4 hours away. So we want to make sure that all voices get to be heard. And if not, then we have a Zoom link that people can log on to as well. Sometimes we do like random little meetings if there's something that I feel like we need to chat about, but really it's mainly those 3 big meetings for all coaches. And then I help with meet structure. So I work with the championship committee. I work with the senior and the age group chairs, and we kind of oversee like meet structure format, event structure format, qualifying times, all of that kind of stuff. I help coordinate with that. And then my most important thing that I have done in my mind is I provide coaches education. So like Mackenzie said, we are a 100% Ask at LSC. That's something that I started in 2022. And I saw that as something that we could move forward with that would provide the best and free education for our coaches. So we take our funding, the way we fund that, if anybody's interested in partnering, the way that we do it is we have application fees through the state, through our LSC. So all athletes, all officials, all coaches have to apply to be a part of the LSC, and we have fees. And we just bumped everybody's fee up $2. And all of that, those $2 just go into a lump sum that we then put into the coaches' education, or sorry, the Ask It membership. So I work with the head coaches, and I get all of their emails and their phone numbers of all their coaches for the year, pass that off to the membership person at ASCA. They sign everybody up. And we also get like 10 to 20% discounts off of things like the certifications and anything else that costs money for education. But most of the stuff that's on that website is free. So it's a huge opportunity for our coaches. We also get 2 to 3 virtual clinics that are catered just to our Utah coaches every year through ASCA. And like Russell jumps on sometimes, and he comes out for events that we host and things. So it's super awesome. And it's like maybe my baby that I've had, in the last 3 years, and we'll continue to work towards that. And then lastly, I just run a coaches committee. So I've got 6 coaches and 2 athletes, and they're basically my homies that like help me out if I need to delegate, if I need to be kept on track. Like, they are kind of the people that I run ideas by. We meet up. I do not meet every month. I'm really bad at that. But again, this is a volunteer position, and not all of us have a ton of time. So I try to meet like every 2 to 3 months, like quarterly with them. And yeah, so that's kind of my role within the LSC. And if anybody has questions or anything, just stop me or write in the chat or whatever. And yeah, feel free to ask away. A typical LSC board structure. So I did some research on this, and I thought it was very straightforward, and it actually is kind of not. So I think all LSC, I think all clubs and boards have to have a mission and a vision statement. So the mission statement for Utah is to provide opportunities, support, and a framework for all athletes to excel. And our vision statement is athletes elevated, was the word elevation. And that's kind of like our go-to. So when we're making decisions, it's like, okay, well, is this going to reflect on our mission and vision? Is this something that we can see will elevate athletes? It's a good tool to kind of use when you're brainstorming things to bring to the table. And then we have our bylaws, rules and regs, policies and procedures. This is all of the documentation. This is stuff that I don't really touch too often. I will bring new things to the table. I kind of understand how things roll, and if I need to look something up, I will, but this is a lot of paperwork. And from my understanding, and this is where you can correct me if I'm wrong, the bylaws have to be approved by a majority of the executive board. The rules and regs and the policies and procedures can look different, and so can the bylaws. Everything can look different within each LSC, but the rules and regs and policies and procedures can be changed by a committee. They don't necessarily have to go to the executive board for a policy change. Like, for example, we were going to make a change for our bylaws. We actually had an emergency executive board meeting last night. So we needed the majority of the executive board to be there online. It was a Zoom call. And then from there on our vote, we needed to have the majority of yays to pass it. That is different. So there's voting positions and there's non-voting positions. And this is the part that I thought was going to be very consistent, but actually was pretty different when I looked at a handful of different LSCs. So, but it's pretty consistent across the executive board. There's the chair, basically the person in charge, the vice chair, basically the second person in charge. There's the age group chair involved in all things age group, senior chair involved in all things senior. Finance chair, our money peeps, they do all the budgeting for the year. They keep us on track. They work with a treasurer usually, who is a non-voting position, and they kind of go hand in hand together. Coaches rep, which is what I do. The officials chair works with officials. Our safe sport chair works with all things safe sport. So anything that goes on safe sport wise in the state of Utah goes to our safe sport chair. there's a DEI chair, and we actually just changed our name. And I don't remember what we changed it to, but I think it's the DEIC. I think it's like diversity, equity, inclusion, and community chair. But don't quote me on that. Just trying to get a little bit more involved in the community and making swimming more equitable for our overall community and our overall state. Senior athlete representative and our junior athlete representative. They move up every year. So the junior athlete rep will move into the senior athlete rep position when our senior athlete rep graduates. And then we also have athlete members who move into that junior athlete rep. These are all voted on positions. So people vote for these people. They serve 2-year terms. And again, like I said, I don't know if this is actually for everybody, but we can serve 2-year terms, and then we have to be done with that position. You can go for another position, like next year I could maybe go for senior chair if it's open or whatever. And we do it so that every other year we have half of our board cycling in and out. So half of the board will be voted on 1 year, the next year the other half will be voted out. So then you serve your 2-year terms with 1 year voting. That makes sense. Non-voting positions were the ones that I felt like were actually really cool to look at because there's so many of them. We have a treasurer, we have an administrative assistant who is like the MVP. He keeps everybody on track. He does the documenting, like he is a rock star. We have a person who does our website registration and our record assistance, but you can have all 3 of those be separate people. And then I saw some other ones that I just threw in there, like the disability swimming chair. I thought that was really cool. There's just a handful of others that I didn't add into here because honestly, there were so many that I just was like, these are great ideas. So I think it's mostly like whatever you feel your board needs, you can create a position for, but the executive board, they are the ones who vote. But the board of directors can consist of a whole bunch of different people. So that's kind of like LSC structure in general. Our Utah board structure, I don't know how everybody runs things. And honestly, there are probably a million things that I'm forgetting in this that that I'm not a part of. I just am kind of going off of what I am a part of and what I've seen. So we have our House of Delegates annual meeting and our voting. That is all coaches from the state and officials and some athlete reps. They come in every year and we basically present to them. Here's what we've done. Here's our stats. Here's our finances for the year. Here's our budget. So that everybody's kind of kept in the loop. And then we do the voting. So everybody in the state gets to vote on the executive board positions. We do strategic planning meetings. We used to do these every 3 to 5 years, and we've started doing them annually. And it's great to do them annually. Highly, highly suggest doing them annually. We did one in spring, so we're going to do ours again this spring. Took about 6 hours of talking, which seems like a lot, but it actually went by pretty fast. And we took all of our collective ideas of what we feel like the LSC needs the most, and we whittled those down to like 3 or 4 of our top. Coaches education was one of them. Safe sport was another one. The athletes felt like we needed more like team camaraderie amongst different teams, coaches, and athletes in the state. And then we came up with pool space needing to be worked on, which I feel like who needs that? If anyone has any ideas of how to get more pool space, just write me an email after this. And we tried to come up with things that were like tangible that we could actually change. So like, for example, the athletes saying that they felt like we needed more camaraderie. We came up with at senior state this year, we did a t-shirt swap with all of the coaches. And if you t-shirt swapped, you got a raffle ticket at the end of the day to put it in a raffle, and then they won like $100 or something. Just things that we can like check off a list and be like, okay, we're really doing this. We have things that we can say that we kept on track, and these were our priorities, and we really did prioritize them. Then we have our monthly meetings. We meet every second Tuesday of the month. They're usually about 1 hour to 2 hours. From what I've heard, they used to be like 3 or 4 hours, and I don't know what's changed, but I think we just get things done much faster at this point. So it's really not super bad, and it's very rare that we don't have a lot to talk about. We structure our championships. So we run our age group and our senior championships. We also do things like athlete reimbursement for sectionals, junior nationals, and above qualifiers. And then committees are super, super, super important. Every executive member has a committee. They oversee a committee, but there's also committees that we just come up with that we feel are important. Like I'm going to talk about our Pride and Joy, our Swimposium in a second. And we have a Swimposium committee because it's a lot of work and we feel like it's really important and we need more than just those monthly meetings to get some of this stuff done. So we have a governance committee that basically oversees us and makes sure that we're on task, that we're doing the things that we need to be doing, checking in with us. Hey, last month at this meeting, you said you were going to do this. So we need to make sure, did you do that? Or what's your plan or whatever. So we're kept on task. Love our committees. I think they're super huge for I don't know, just the LSC progress in general. We are an athlete focused board. We have a 20% athlete rule. So every committee has to have 20% athletes. Our executive board has to have 20% athletes. In order to even have our meeting run, we have to have 20% of our athletes there. In order to vote, we also have to have 20% athletes there, which I guess we wouldn't even get to a vote if they weren't there in the first place. And then our committees have to have 20% athletes representation on all of them. We think it's really important. Obviously, our vision is athletes elevated, and so we need to make sure that they're involved as much as we can and that they feel like their voice is heard just as much as ours is. And then we're 100% Ask LSC. I kind of talked about that. I told you guys how we run it. Yeah, that was like the first thing that I did in 2022. And then we've done, virtual clinics since. And then I said, what's the next step? And this year we created grants for head coaches to apply for their coaches and themselves to go to the Ask LSC, the Ask a World Clinic this year. And it was super popular. This is a picture of us there. This was the biggest group of coaches that we've taken out from Utah to date. So it was really, really successful. One team took like 8 coaches because they finally had funding. It's one of the biggest things that coaches say that they need help with is, providing education, but also making it free, And then we run our Western Age Group Zones meet. So some LSCs have their coaches rep or their age group chair automatically put into the position of the head coach for their age group zones meets. We are not that way. I've been their head coach twice, and we do an application, but it's not because I'm on the board. We do an application process. So I work with the age group chair and our administrative assistant to set all of that up. So we set up the application process before we even go through with the athletes, and then we do all of the event scheduling, all the food, all the travel, all of that stuff. So, and all of that budget comes out of the overall LSC budget. And then this is our Pride and Joy, our baby, the Swimposium. We do this every year. We used to do it where we would have our HOD meeting, then the Swimposium, then our awards banquet. And it would be like 7 a.m. HOD, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Swimposium, and then we'd go like 5 to 7 awards banquet, which was just a long day. So we've changed it, and our HOD and awards banquet is in the fall, and our Swimposium is going to be in the spring. So we're busy planning this right now. So I'm also on the Swimposium committee, but our board puts this on. So we bring in Olympic athletes and coaches, big name coaches from around the country to come in and speak with our coaches. Sometimes we have a parents and an officials track. I don't know if we have that this year, but we for sure have an athletes track and a coaches track. The athletes can get in the water with the Olympians. They get to do the in-water clinics with them for about 3 to 4 hours, depending on their age. And then they move into just some like Q&As and stuff and some meet the Olympians and some little breakout rooms with them. And the coaches just have like 6 to 7 hours of straight education. So so this is Hunter Armstrong and our Utah girl, Ryan White, and we've got Bobby Fink, and then we've got, oh my gosh, why can't I not remember his name right now? Oh my gosh, my notes. He literally comes every year, you guys, and I knew I was going to forget him. Anyway, Josh Davis, oh my gosh, he's there all the time. I'm pretty sure he's a Utah or like Mountain West local, but anyway, this year we have Catherine Burkhoff's coming. I think Ryan's coming back. And we have the NC State coaches coming. And then we also have Coach Christine. She was at the World Clinic and she's a mental health coach and works with like the biggest names like the Walsh sisters and Tori Husk and basically any big name Olympian right now that you can think of. She works with them to do mental health coaching with. She was amazing at the World Clinic. If you saw her, I know you know who she is. So she'll be coming out and we're still working on a couple of other Olympians. So if you are in the area, this is a little bit of a plug, but if you're in the area or if you're not in the area and you want to fly in for this, you are absolutely 100% more than welcome to. We love putting this on every year and we feel like it's really successful and it's only gotten bigger and better. So this is like the biggest thing I think the board does collectively as a team. And my quick takeaways. So there are always a lot of voices that want to be heard and you should hear them. There are only a handful of bodies that are on a board or even in the committees, and there are hundreds of coaches and there are thousands of athletes. And I get emails, calls, texts, whatever, all the time with, you know, I think we're doing this well. I think we need to do this better. I have this major gripe. And I think it's like, sometimes it feels like being a politician where you really have to just like take it all in, but you also need to, I personally am like, I need to make sure that they are heard and that we're making these changes or we're at least bringing it to table. And I think like if you're going to be in this role, like hearing people is one of the biggest things. My next biggest thing for sure is focusing on being athletes first and coaches first. Again, like coaches education is my biggest thing in Utah. And I believe like the only way that we will get better, bigger, faster, stronger, whatever, is through great coaches, because if you don't have great coaches, you're just not going to have great athletes. And if you don't have great educational opportunities for our coaches, I mean, you'd have to be a real natural to just know it all. You know what I mean? And so I try to provide the most opportunities at the lowest rate, hopefully free, for our coaches. And then change only happens if you're willing to speak up and do the work. And this is coming from an introverted person where this is my swimmer. This is a picture of my swimmer at Zones, and she is the loudest person that I've ever met in my entire life. So I had to put this up here for her. But there have been a couple of board meetings for like 2 hours that have been like 2 hours long, that I have been like advocating for a cause. And it's a lot of back and forth. And sometimes it gets a little dicey. But it's just like, if you really believe in something and you really want to make change, I really believe the only way that's going to happen is if you speak up. That doesn't mean you have to be in the position that I'm in. It could mean that you go to the person who's in my position and say, hey, I've seen this, a dozen times and I think we need to change it or whatever. But it's truly, I believe the only way that we can make change is by speaking up. So how can you get involved? So it sounds like there's already a lot of involvement. So I'm not sure how much I need to talk about this, but if you're up for it, run for a board elected position. It can feel a little intimidating. And I've said a million times already that it's a volunteer position and it takes your time, but it's so worth it. And I think the community is so great. Like I've made a lot of friends and I've made a lot of colleagues, and it's actually a really rewarding, small sliver of work that I do in my life. If that is too much for you and you feel like that's too big, you can talk to your board members and get involved in their committees. There's tons of committees and there's no limit to how many people are on them. So like if you feel really passionate about something in particular, if you're like, man, I need to get on our officials committee because I have no idea what the heck is going on with our officials right now, jump on that committee. It's way less intimidating time-wise. And it's way more collaborative. You're not the one, you're still making change. You're still a change maker, but you don't have to take as much time and energy to do so. And if that is still too much, you can always come to just a board meeting and you don't even have to comment. I put public comment on here because every board should have public comment time allotted for the end of their meetings. So if you don't want to sit in on an hour meeting, you can just say, I'm going to come in at 30 minutes or whatever, or you can just come into a meeting and see what's going on. I think most of them are on Zoom at this point. COVID, you know what I mean? Like I think everything's on Zoom, and maybe some LSCs still meet in person. And but I think it's the most easy it's ever been to attend a board meeting and to see what's going on. And then just continue to meet and talk to your board members. Like if you've got ideas and if you have thoughts and feelings about something, you shoot them an email, shoot them a call, find them on a pool deck, say what's up and reach out. I think it's like, again, the only way that we can make changes, and everyone wants to make change. I don't think anybody's ever really fully satisfied with like what's going on 110%. The only way that's going to happen is if you guys speak up. So that's my encouragement. If you would like to get involved, if you don't, also totally fine. Yeah, I left my information up here if you guys want it. So if you want to reach out afterwards or whatever, if something pops up in your head and you want to bring that up, please shoot me an email or a text or a call, and I'm happy to chat with you. Maybe I'll see some of you guys next weekend or this weekend in Colorado Springs, but if not, and if you have questions right now, I'm happy to take those as well.
Thank you, Ashton. That is awesome. That I learned a great deal during that.
Yeah.
Don't be shy, you guys. Jot down her phone number or her email and get in touch if you want to pick her brain a little bit more just on how to level up within your LSC. So thank you. Thanks for sharing, Ashton. Such an honest opinion about what it was like to get into it, what it's like now that you're in it. I just appreciate the honesty that you brought to this. So thank you.
Totally. Well,
Thank you.
thanks.
All right, everybody, we will be in touch. Like I said, we'll have Emily Molina and Haley Foley coming up in the next few months. So stay tuned for that. And if you were new on here, I'm so glad that you hopped on. Thank you. I see a lot of familiar names and it's really good. Was thrilled to see Meredith back on here. Haven't seen her for a while. And even though it's just Zoom, it still really is wonderful to connect with you all. So have a wonderful week. Good luck. I'm sure everybody's busy with swim meets. And Ashton, thank you so much.
For sure. Thanks you guys for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.